Hello, and in today's video we are doing Premier League predictions for match week number 7 of the 2023 to 24 season. That's right, predicting the Premier League yet again after a busy week of results. It was some surprising scores, but ultimately some great results, and we will go through how I got on in match week number 6 of the 2023 to 24 season. But before you carry on watching this video, smash a like on it. Get your score predictions down in the comment section below to join the Premier League Predictions League. And remember, it's 3 points for the correct result, then it's 5 points for the correct goal difference, and then 7 for the correct scoreline. But yeah, match week 6 threw up a few interesting scores. We had Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0. Not the best of games, I'll be honest, but we did talk about it actually in our podcast. So before I go any further, make sure you check out my podcast on the FPL Yellow Army channel, because yes, we did our first episode of the new fantasy football / football related podcast called The Form is Temporary. So yeah, if you didn't check it out, go on Spotify. My Spotify is Roberto Hollis, and it's, so you got to search for FPL Yellow Army, that's the account. But just search into Spotify, The Form is Temporary podcast, and it should come up with episode 1. And we talked about FPL, we talked about game week 7, which is of course the upcoming fixtures. Talking of FPL, I will be doing an FPL preview for game week number 7 very, very shortly. So stay tuned for that on my other channel. But yes, we are going to quickly look at how we got on in match week number 6. What were people's predictions on the last video? So yeah, do make sure you drop them in the comment section below so I can read them out in a future video. But yeah, thanks for everyone that viewed the last match week 6's predictions, and thanks for all the comments yet again. Ballum, he always comments, I appreciate it again, Ballum. Always quite long in the comments, so maybe shorten them next time. But he was going on about Bayern Munich and Harry Kane and everything. So it was Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0. Not the best of games ultimately. Great performance though from Sam Johnston, who looks like he'll stay in goal for now for Crystal Palace with the injury that's come recently to Dean Henderson. So yeah, look, good win. Good result for Fulham, actually. I think that's not the easiest of place to go, Selhurst Park, but a good performance from Johnston. Fulham's just not been firing this season. It's as simple as that. Raul Jimenez has not been the self he was in his early days at Wolves, and I mean, Carlos Vinicius scored against Luton the other week, but you know, it's Luton. Not to be offensive, it's Luton. So look, ultimately, Fulham are not scoring goals, and they'll want to sort that out ahead of this next week game. I think ultimately Crystal Palace are missing Wilfried Zaha. That's been a big loss for them. But Odsonne-Edouard has stepped up with the goals. But it would be a worry for them that he went off in that Fulham game, off injured. So don't know if he'll be fit for this Manchester United trip at the weekend. But we'll have to see. But yes, I went for a Crystal Palace 1, Fulham 2 prediction. So yeah, no points for me. But Colm said 1-0 to Crystal Palace, so no more success. Oh, sorry, that was actually Ballum, where it said 1-0 Crystal Palace, and thought that Crystal Palace of South East London should win. Roy Hodgson at 76 made them hard to beat. Yes, he has done well, to be fair to him. It seems that since he left Watford, he's suddenly turned into a better manager now. So he just decided to be an awful manager at the age of 75. Whilst he was manager of Watford. But yeah, fair enough. He gets them some points. Last season it came in and he was actually shoring up a lot of their points in terms of they were scoring loads of goals, but they weren't keeping out many clean sheets. At the start of this season, it looked the opposite, and they were keeping clean sheets but not scoring many goals. So it's a bit reversed. But yeah, ultimately, that was what he was known for originally at Crystal Palace, getting those clean sheets but not scoring too many. But yeah, maybe they need Eze to get a few more goals this season. But yeah, what would we say from Colm? He went for a 2-2 draw. So the Fulham fan Colm went for a draw. So fair play, he knows his team well, but not quite the 0-0. So 5 points regardless. Well done, Colm. We also then had the next game between Luton and Wolves. Now, Luton Town obviously still yet to pick a point up in the Premier League before that game. Not exactly been ideal for them. They've lost pretty much every game, and scored very few goals, conceded quite a few. But they got a point, the first point of the season after the first 6 games at home to Wolves. 10 men Wolves, I have to say. It was a silly decision to get himself sent off, but maybe it was a bit harsh. I don't know. It's one of those ones, but ultimately, yeah, they had 10 men for a lot of that game, Wolves, and you fancied Luton with the extra man advantage would get the victory, but no, fair play. Pedro Neto with the goal, very good goal at that, but he seemed to choose to want to do 146 different celebrations. It was quite funny. He did the crowd, he did the cupping of the ears, he did the dancing all about. It was crazy stuff from the Portuguese, but a fantastic goal from Pedro Neto. And then Luton did get their equaliser from the penalty spot. A bit of a controversial penalty, though, because it bounced off the leg of one of the Wolves defenders onto the hand. And so given as a penalty, usually I thought when it's ricochets like that, it doesn't lead to a direct penalty. But, fair enough. Luton got the penalty and Morris kind of kicked into his own foot, really. It was a weird technique, but into the side netting, fair play, and Luton got their first point. So, yeah, look, ultimately, Luton will think that what could have been there, that result. But in terms of my prediction for that game, I actually thought Luton would win the game. So I was overestimating them. 2-0 was my prediction, and it was 1-1. We also had a prediction from Ballum. He went for 1-0 Luton. So, yeah, again, nothing there. And then we also saw Cole's prediction. He's smashing it so far. He also went with 1-1. So, bang on the money, 7 points. Very, very good stuff indeed. Then Man City against Forest. I went for a 5-0. Maybe I just underestimated Forest a little bit because they have been actually quite good against the biggest sides this season. They've had an awful fixture run, Nottingham Forest. They obviously beat Chelsea. They did play well against Arsenal, and then they kind of kept the score down in games against Manchester United. Obviously, they scored 2 themselves. So, look, it was a really good performance from Forest in this game. I thought they kind of kept Man City quite quiet, especially in the second half, but that was partly down to, very much down to that red card for Rodri, that loss of, composure, that petulance. It was a red card, I think, the kind of strangle on Gibbs White, but it was just interesting how Foden was so close to it, and yeah, he even seemed to react as if he'd got injured to it. But no, I don't know. It was just a weird moment from Rodri. He doesn't often do that, so he'll be missing. That's a massive blow for Manchester City. I mean, they've had a squad this season that's actually still quite stretched and not as many options as previous seasons. So, yeah, not ideal. Not going to say Man City are going to start losing games now because we know how relentless this team is, regardless of the things thrown in their way. But, yeah, obviously not ideal. But still got the win, 2-0, with a nice little goal for Erling Haaland. Fantastic delivery from the debutant, Mateus Nunes. What a cross, what a header from Erling Haaland. And then, of course, the first goal. Fantastic link-up play with Kyle Walker on that right-hand side and a fabulous finish from Phil Foden. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, good win for City, but a few people here in this predictions overestimating Man City, including Ballum, 10-0 Man City. Yeah, okay, I'm not sure about that, but anyway, got the 3 points regardless. And then we had Colm go for 4-1. Again, got the 3 points, but that's all that we all got. Now we had the Brentford against Everton game. Now, a lot of people went for Brentford, as you would this season. Brentford have been a pretty good side over the last few seasons. Everton, very much the opposite, flirting with relegation, but just about staying up. But, fair play Everton. They did it against Brighton last season. They did it against Brentford this season. A big shock away win, 3-1 away for Everton. I don't think many people saw that coming. Not many people also saw Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring. He was finally on target after his injury worries. So yeah, fair play Everton, just fair play. Did not see that coming at all. Obviously Flecken wasn't ideal in the game against Newcastle, gave away that penalty. And then, yeah, he maybe should have done better for the Calvert-Lewin goal. But look, at the end of the day, I still feel Brentford are a great team going forward defensively. It's just a weird blip. And yeah, Mbeumo has had a great season. He's still looking a great player, but he was off on this one. And the same goes for Wissa. Those two Brentford attackers looking really good. But obviously, without Tony, they're not going to be having those same chances, those same creative moments every game. So it's a weird one. But Tony is now back in training, strangely enough. He's obviously not allowed to play until January with his betting ban. But he's back in training, so they're trying to get him fit, I suppose. But yeah, we all got wrong for that one. Colm went for a 1-1 draw. Fair play for backing Everton a little bit more than everyone else did. That was Ballum. And then Colm went for a 2-0 Brentford, as I did. So yeah, no points all round. Not good at all. Burnley, Man United, I went for a 2-1 Manchester United away win. I thought Burnley would huff and puff, but Man United would just about have enough to win this game. It finished 1-0, so 5 points for the correct goal difference. Very nice. Fernandes with a fantastic volley. Really, really great stuff. Great ball from Johnny Evans, it's got to be said. Didn't know he had that in his locker, but fair play. But yeah, not a terrible performance from Burnley. They gave it their all, and they hit the post I think, as well, through Zeki Amdouni. So, look, Company's got them playing some good football. They're obviously conceding goals, which is not ideal, but they have got some nice fixtures coming up in the kind of near future. So let's see whether they can profit from those. But Manchester United, look, the jury's still out on them. Obviously, a good win. It was a bit of an ugly win, but I don't know. They've got a lot of injuries as well. So Reguilon is out. You've got the likes of Martinez as well. So their defence is a bit in the mud. But, you know, maybe someone like Rashford, someone like Fernandes and Højlund can get this team back on form. We'll have to see. But yes, I went for that. So 5 points for me. We also had a prediction from Ballum. I don't think he actually predicted this game. Maybe he forgot it. Yeah, I think he forgot this match because I can't seem to see Burnley Man United here. But anyway, we also saw a prediction from Colm. He said 2-1 Manchester United as well. So again, 5 points. Next up, we have Arsenal v Tottenham. What a great North London derby it was at the Emirates. 2-2. Just two teams, very attacking football, going for it and not really holding back. So that's exactly what you want to see in the best league in the world, the Premier League. But ultimately, it was a missed opportunity, I think, for Arsenal. They went ahead 2-1, looking good. Obviously, Saka with the penalty. Obviously, it did assist as well, the first goal. It was ultimately a game where I think, you know, obviously the own goal from Romero is unfortunate, but Spurs did look really threatening on the break, and Arsenal still defensively a bit susceptible to that. So, yeah, Spurs got their comeback win. Very well done for that. I think it might have been 2-1 to Arsenal at one point. Yeah, they got the penalty from Saka. It was 1-1 going into half-time, I believe. And Son with a brace, you know, fair play. He's back in business, Heung-min Son. But there's a few injuries in these teams this coming weekend. Saka with a slight doubt for the Bournemouth game, so whether he'll start or not, we'll have to wait and see. Also, we've seen that Martinelli obviously was injured in the game against Everton. He's still out. But also Tottenham, right? Maddison, a slight doubt after he collided with Jorginho in that game and didn't look good for his knee. And then Son, also a flagged player at the moment with a bit of a knock. So, yeah, who knows who'll be fit for this game that the Spurs have got the weekend against Liverpool. And then, obviously, yeah, Arsenal up at Bournemouth. So, yeah, fascinating stuff, really. But what did everyone else say? Ballum said 0-0. So, yeah, not quite in terms of goals, but the right result, 5 points, fair play. And then also we had Colm. Just bring in the fire again. 2-2 prediction. Bang on the money. 7 points. You're just the master at this point, mate. And I got 5. Actually, no, I said 3-2 Arsenal. I thought I got a draw as well. But no, fair play. No points for me. Okay, next up, we had Brighton-Bournemouth. Now, of course, Mitoma didn't start this game. He was benched after their midweek action that they played against, is it AEK Athens, I believe. And so, yeah, Brighton did rest a few players. A lot of rotation. That's what De Zerbi loves. Estupinian obviously played well. He got the assist for that Mitoma header. But what an impact sub, right? At half-time, you're thinking, all right, 1-0 down. What are you going to do to improve the game? De Zerbi. And it's a masterstroke from him to bring on Mitoma. Obviously, now he's a bit more rested, I suppose, is the thinking ahead of the game this weekend. But, look, incredible impact. Obviously, it was a terrible mistake by Verbruggen to give away that goal for Solanke, and then Mitoma with 2 goals. Incredible stuff. Very, very well done to Karu Mitoma. Obviously, Brighton are a great team at the moment. They're scoring goals for fun, and they just look a really, really decent side at the minute. So, you just got to say fair play to them. But what was everyone's predictions? I went for a 2-0 win, so 5 points for the correct goal difference. Nice. It was 3-1, of course. Brighton went, Colm, he went for a 3-0 Brighton. So, again, 3 points there. And then we also had 1-0 to Brighton from Ballum. Again, 3 points. So, yeah, I'm happy to get those 5 points. Then it was Chelsea-Villa. I thought Chelsea would bounce back from the disappointing result against Bournemouth, where they just didn't look at it. But no, Chelsea is still in a bit of a crisis at the moment. Their form this calendar year has been awful. And yeah, they just can't seem to get going under Pochettino at the moment because they lost the game 1-0 against Aston Villa. Good performance from Villa. Watkins finally gets his first goal of the season. And yeah, not good for my prediction, 2-0. We also had Colm's prediction in this game. He went for a 2-1 away win to Villa. So fair play, 5 points for the correct goal difference there. And then also we had 1-1 for Ballum, so no points for him. Then the last two games, Liverpool-West Ham, I went for a 3-1 to Liverpool. That's exactly what it was, so very happy with that. 7 points in the bank, lovely stuff. Finishing the week on 23 points because we got a correct result in the Newcastle game. Of course, we predicted Newcastle. Didn't quite say 8-0, but yeah, 3-1, bang on the money. We also had Colm. He went for, in the Liverpool game, 2-1 to Liverpool, so 3 points. And also, again, a weird prediction from Ballum, 10-0, 3 points, but whatever. He should have gone for the 10s against in the Newcastle game, but he went for 1-0 Newcastle. So again, 3 points for him there. And then we also had 3-1 for Newcastle from Coleman. Again, 3 points. So yeah, 23 points from 10 games. Not too shabby. But let's move on to match week number 7, shall we, of the Premier League. As you can see, the scores, the fixtures, I should say, are right down below. So predict in the comments as we go. It'll be great to see your predictions. Now, Aston Villa-Brighton first up. I think this is going to be an Aston Villa win. I know that Brighton have been really good this season, but Aston Villa I've been even more impressed with. And that sounds quite harsh on Brighton, actually, because Brighton have been one of the highest scoring teams. But we already knew that Brighton were really good. That was shown last season. Aston Villa, though, the start of last season, they were not good. And this season, under Unai Emery, they've gone up a few levels. And I'm just so impressed by them. And they're at home this is what time as well. Obviously, Brighton did just play Europa League. And probably won't affect them massively. But so did Aston Villa, obviously, with the Europa Conference. So these are two sides going for big ambitions this season. I just feel like Aston Villa's side of football, they'll just edge this. I don't know why, but we'll have to see how it pans out. I'll go for Aston Villa 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. First goal for Brighton from Kaoru Mitoma, assisted by Pervis Estupiñán. But then Aston Villa hit back with goals from, firstly, Matty Cash, and secondly, it's Moussa Diaby. Next up, we've got Bournemouth against Arsenal. Now, this is a game I can see Arsenal fairly comfortably winning. But in the past, this has not been a happy hunting ground for Arsenal, other than last season when they got that big, I think, 3-0 win with a first goal in Arsenal colours for Saliba. But he's a doubt for this game, so wonder whether he will be fit to play. Arsenal, though, under the likes of, under Arteta, looking a much better team. Obviously, title race last season. Don't look the free-flowing selves. Obviously, they're getting the job done to win games, but we'll have to see if they can really, challenge Man City this season. But it's this sort of game they have to deal with comfortably if they are going to be in that conversation yet again. So I think they certainly will be up there, but they have to win this. So Bournemouth, obviously, Solanke might be a doubt as well, so that will help Arsenal's chances. I think 2-0 away win for Arsenal. Finally, they get that clean sheet. And I think Arsenal goal scorers will go for Martin Ødegaard and will go for... How should we say this? Ben White. Now we've got Everton v Luton. Now I think Everton, they're going to fancy their home form. Obviously a great win against Brentford last time out. Abdoulaye Doucouré back in the goals. Obviously he's a former Hornet, so he's got some motivation going into this game. But Luton obviously got the point last time out against Wolves. The first point of the season, but yet to get a point in away games this season. I just fancy the Goodison crowd will give them the momentum they'll need to win this game. I'll say Everton 3, Luton Town 0. And goal scorers for Everton, I think Abdoulaye Doucouré. I think also James Tarkowski. And then the third goal for Everton, I'm going for not Andre, I'm thinking of the Manchester United goalkeeper, Amadou Onana, if he's fit to play, which I think he might be. If he isn't, then no worries. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, it's Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. Now, I do believe this will be a game that Manchester United fairly, not comfortably, because they have been awful, but I think they'll get the victory, in typical, non-amazing style, in pretty sloppy style, as they did against Burnley last week. And Palace, obviously, have had a decent start to the season with Edouard doing well, but will he play? I'm not sure. I think Palace have actually hurt Man United in the past in this fixture, especially at Old Trafford. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's an easy United win, but I'll go for a 2-1 scraping win for Manchester United with Fernandes and Højlund amongst the goals for Manchester United. And then for Palace, I think the goal scorer will be, yet again, their man in defence, Joachim Andersen. Who'd have thought it? Now, it's Newcastle v Burnley. I think Burnley actually will go for this game because Burnley, obviously, they are looking quite good in an offensive point of view, just not quite got as many goals. Obviously, Lyle Foster will be still suspended for this one, so they'll be without him. But they've still got Koleosho, they've still got Amdouni, Zaroury is back from suspension as well. So some decent players there for Burnley. And obviously, I think they've just recently signed as well a new guy. I can't even remember what his name is now. Let me just check what this guy's name is. It is it Dredder or something? Or Dregger? It might be Dredder. Hang on. Bear with. It is... Oh... Trezor. I knew it was something or. But yeah, they've signed this new guy, Mike Trezor. So let's see if he's any good and gets a goal. But no, I think Newcastle defence is solid though. They looked at that against Sheffield United. Obviously, Sheffield United imploded. But yeah, an incredible game from Newcastle. Great performance from Anthony Gordon. And also a great relentlessness. Now, Wilson is a doubt for this one. So let's see if he's fit. He actually got quite a good record against Burnley, funnily enough. And so I'll have to see if Newcastle can get the goals. But I think they can. Newcastle 2, Burnley 0. I think first one for Newcastle will go for a nice free kick in from Kieran Trippier. And then the second for Newcastle, a bullet header from a man who's actually scored in this fixture before. It's Fabian Schär. Next up, we've got West Ham against Sheffield United. Now, I feel this game, it won't be easy for West Ham on paper because we know the low block of Sheffield United can frustrate teams. But on the pitch, it should be fairly straightforward. West Ham have had a fantastic start to the season. Sheffield United struggling to keep goals out of their defence. And so I think West Ham, although obviously Sheffield United was so bad last week, I don't think it'll be like that again. But West Ham, I think, still will cruise to victory. 3-0 to West Ham with James Ward-Prowse, Jared Bowen, and then for the final goal for West Ham, it's going to be Paqueta to get the victory for the Hammers. Now, it's Wolves against Manchester City. I do believe that Wolves were very unlucky at points in their recent performances. You know, especially they played well against Liverpool, scored it early in that game. And then in the game they had last week against Luton, I thought they actually had the better of the chances, if I'm honest. But they just couldn't hold on for the 3 points. Obviously, that penalty from Morris. So I think ultimately that Luton obviously was a game Wolves would have thought they should win. This is much more a game they would expect to lose. So I think it's not that much of an issue if Wolves do lose this. But I think Wolves actually can score in this. As I say, they've not actually played that badly, even if they've not scored loads. So I'll say Wolves 1, Manchester City 4. I think City will definitely drive home the advantage. I think Haaland with a couple of goals, 1 for Alvarez, and then the 4th goal for Manchester City. Let's say... Who are we going for? Let's go. No, we're going to go for it. He plays in midfield. He scored last week. Phil Foden. Now, the goal scorer for Wolves will go for... Dunno. Hwang Hee-chan. Now it's Tottenham against Liverpool. This is, of course, the game on Sky Sports. Should be an exciting one. A bit like last week, Arsenal Spurs. This is 2 teams that like to attack, so hopefully lots more entertainment to come. Spurs, obviously... You know, really good start to the season under Ange Postecoglou. He's got them playing great football. Defensively, that does leave him a bit exposed, but I think it's worth it to get some great games. Obviously, Mourinho in the past and Conte has played quite negative football, so this is a nice, refreshing change for Spurs. But that man in your picture there, Son Heung-min, will he be fit for this one? Because up against the high line of Liverpool, he is the perfect player to get in behind and score some goals. He's done it in the past against Liverpool. So, I don't know. I think Spurs, if Son is out, they might not think this is as easy as it looks, because actually Liverpool, quietly, this season have so far so good, right, for their season. They've played some great stuff. And Salah is scoring a few goals now, actually, as well. And they're clicking in midfield. So, will be a tough one for Spurs, I think. But I'm going to edge towards a draw. I think these games are always tight. I'll go for 2-2 again. I know Spurs did just do a 2-2, but I just see that being a very similar result here. So I think Spurs score first. Let's see if Maddison's fit. I think he will be, though, just about. So Maddison to get the opener for Tottenham. Then Liverpool hit back with a goal from in-form Mohamed Salah this time. Then Salah does set up another one. This time for Liverpool, it's a goal for Luis Diaz. And then Spurs get their second goal of the game. And this time, it's from their new guy, Manor Solomon. So that's my prediction for the game, 2-2. We move into the last games of the week. It's Forest-Brentford. Now, Forest-Brentford, I do believe Forest will huff and puff for this, especially the fact it's obviously at the City Ground. First game of October. I think that Brentford will still get the victory, though. As much as Forest will bring as much as they can. Forest are just ultimately a good side, But Brentford, I think, are even better on their day. Obviously, against Everton, they weren't exactly on it. But, you know, Hudson-Odoi obviously will be a key match maker for Forest in this one if they can do anything, because he scored a wonderful goal recently against Burnley. And Anthony Elanga as well, you know, doing very well on that wing. So I think Forest will score, but I do feel that Brentford will win. So Forest 1, Brentford 3. Then we've got Fulham against Chelsea. Obviously a London derby this one, so it's going to be a big one. Under the lights, again on Sky Sports. Now Fulham, they've beaten Chelsea before. They know how to do it. Chelsea in bad form. I do feel this will be a potential banana peel for the Blues, but they did win in midweek against Brighton. Good result in the Cup. I'll go for Fulham 1, Chelsea 2. And finally, it's Luton against Burnley. Maybe a bit of a 6-pointer this early in the season. It might not be that important, but two sides that you feel will be there at the bottom of the table come the end of the season. I do feel that Burnley have a few results in them where when they play the teams around them, they have this expansive football. They could score a few. So maybe this is the exact one for them to do that. But we'll have to see. I think Luton will score, though. Luton 1, Burnley 2. And those are my score predictions for match week number 7 of the Premier League. Get yours in the comment section below, and I'll check out the best ones in a future one. I hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.